Hey, we're back at the Analyst Desk. That's right, your host Doe here, along with Tommy, our special guest this week, and Kelber Jacob, who is around all the time, pretty much. Yeah,
I've never left.
There's a sleeping bag under the desk. That's where he stays.
I live here, essentially.
Delivered.
Which is how I knew Tommy was also living here, is because I also live here.
There you go.
Every single time there's been somebody absent, it's not been me. I think, John, Sam, and I all have perfect attendance so far for the whole year of the NAL.
You're on your way to getting your gold star sticker by the end of the
I want
stage.
my participation trophy, yes.
Well done. We'll have that. We'll whip that right up for you. Don't worry. Let's take a look at our standings after that last game. I know we're looking at them a lot. I know that, but it's worth it. It's worth it every single time. And after that last series, now, well, frankly, things are even closer than they were before.
It just means XSET and Dark Zero are tied on points. That's the problem. There is no actual definitive winner from Dark Zero getting 3 points and XSET getting nothing, because it just means XSET sit at the exact same point, and it just pushes TSM and Parabellum all the way down. If anything, Parabellum is pissed. Then now they have to worry about somebody else probably cracking into that last place spot. OXG, Sonics, Astralis, they all sit right up there at like a completely different points total from everybody else, but it's that last spot that like 7 teams are going to be fighting for.
I think you really got to look at the map differential here. You know, I mean, and Dark Zero, while yeah, sure, they've jumped up to 12 points, they're still sitting at 0 map differential along with TSM now. So the nice thing for them is that in theory, there is a world where they could jump up to a very good map differential with a very good win over Mirage.
It's true.
You know, if they can't do that, though, their hopes of going to the major, I think, are going to be a little bit tricky, even with a win.
Yeah, I mean, it will be tough to say. I will say, like, we did know that Nyx did do the analytical work for DZ during the Charlotte Major.
Yep.
So he might have some insider info for DZ.
That's true.
Like, will like he be able to take out his own team? Basically, because he was part of, DZ when they won it.
It's a good point. That's a really good point, actually.
Yeah.
Is that, obviously DZ has had to evolve a lot this stage since that time, and so Nyx's information is probably not the most up to date.
Yep.
But that inside insight does tend to serve teams well. So
It's true.
See what happens. Let's check out the probability, though. As you can see with
boy.
that Oxygen, all they need to do is at least overtime lose. If they get a single point, they're in. Meanwhile, Sonics, look at that. A win for them in regulation later today could put them at a position where they're basically guaranteed.
So this has actually gotten even more interesting as the day's gone on. We went from OXG just needing a win to qualify for Berlin, to getting a point to qualify for Berlin, to there even being a way for them to qualify without winning another map, essentially. Without getting another point. There is a possibility for them to do that here. But the basic cut and dry answer to this: Spacestation need all 3 points. Even if they get an overtime win, I still think a 10% chance of qualifying isn't anywhere close to actually being able to make the major. If they lose, they are essentially done. If OXG win, then congratulations, I get to make my tweet about this is the first team going to the major.
There you go. It's not going to be easy for Spacestation. That is our map coming up in just a little bit, in just a few minutes. Oxygen taking on Spacestation Gaming. Now, Spacestation obviously coming off a bit of a heartbreaking loss to TSM yesterday.
Yeah.
They lost it in overtime. They played it really close. They looked probably better than Spacestation has looked in a few weeks, but they just couldn't get it done. And now you're faced with the situation where it's like, you got to find a win over Oxygen. Even if you do, your chances are still slim, and Oxygen has just been looking fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the type of guy who likes to look a stage behind, because, I mean, and that's what I did with the XSET and DZ game. DZ had lost 7-5, now they won 7-5 on the same map.
Right.
And look at Auction. Auction lost to SSG on Cafe 5-7. So what will they do now, and what map will they take them now in order for them to succeed with this and actually qualify for the major?
Dude, honestly, I'm warming up more and more to OXG, like, consistently. Obviously, the way that they play in best of ones is kind of a spoken for thing, but that game against Dark Zero yesterday, that Villa game, it was textbook Newers, it was textbook Foxay. Like, there's not that many things to, like, I find less and less things to critique about this team constantly. Yes, Laxing was doing his thing cross map. It looks very much like everyone's still dialed in the same way they were at Charlotte, barring that semifinal. It's that same kind of like crossover play, because this is still where Vertical is playing and Newers is still the one top in the scoreboard, and it feels like this OXG team is very much on pace to keep up what they're doing. And Spacestation, given that loss yesterday, very clearly their mental is not where it needs to be.
I find it. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I mean, but it's like we talked about. They're going to be playing for the invite points because at the end of the day, the major is what matters during the stage. But everyone wants another shot at invite, and especially a team like SSG who won it back in 2020, they will 100% want it. I will say, even though OXG won yesterday, I do want to see Vert come back and make an appearance.
You know, this is a team where, like, you look at a lot of teams and you imagine, like, their different strengths and weaknesses, the different things you need to be good at Rainbow Six is sort of like different, you know, sliders on a soundboard, right?
Sure.
Usually a team will be, like, having one or two of those go up or down at a certain time. With Oxygen, it feels like everything is either going up or going down equally, you know? And lately, it's been going up. Everything this team does looks good.
Even without Vert this stage, they have been performing lights out. So it's actually nice to see, like, because Vert used to be the guy stage 1 bailing them out. I will say, I think Vert is one of the main reasons they got to the Charlotte Major. But at the end of the day, I still want to see my dog Vert back. Like, I want to see him, like, take the throne back and just frag out.
4 wins in regulation, 2 wins in overtime, only 1 loss that came to the Sonics. That was a 7-4. They've kept everything close. It's a +10 round differential for the entire stage. They're looking pretty. They're looking to lock in their major spot here against a Space Station team that honestly has been struggling more often than not. This team can totally cleave through the problems that Space Station have been presenting over the past several weeks. And they're not worried about confidence. They don't lack for any of that. The mood has always been high. It feels like when they were kind of down on themselves a little bit after SI, it feels like Newers was the kind of mental bump to kind of give them a little bit more like laughter in the comms, which is something that I'm not saying that they lacked that with Kino and Yaga on the team, but it feels like the vibes are always right when they play NAL games. And very rarely do you ever see them down on themselves, which I think is a massive contributor to their performances. Foxe and Newers are funny dudes. Like, it is a joy to spend time around them, but when they bring that to a lobby, it's great.
And let's be honest, like, Foxe has a career in Siege and has been for a long time, you know, still playing.
True.
And I take what he says, like, to heart. Like, I actually respect the guy. He actually knows what he's talking about within his, you know, streams, his interviews, within anything he says. But yeah, so shout out to OXG, you know, and we'll see you guys soon.
Hopefully.
I mean, the thing is, too, with a player like Newers on your screen there, that's a stylish shirt he's got. I like it. I like it when teams do more than just
repping the new merch.
And I was going to say, I like it when teams do more than just, like, put their logo in different sort of, like, colors and arrangements on it. You embellish it. You put things around it. I like, well done, Oxygen. Well done with your new merch. But anyway, Newers, what I was going to say is that you don't see a player with, I think, as much poise as he has in game compared to his age, right? This guy came out of T3, jumped right up to NAL, and he's been proving over and over that he's earned it. You know, he deserves to be there.
He totally does. Through 7 games, I think he has the most kills of any pro since we've been in this format. Through 7 best of ones at 92.
Very impressive.
For context, Vertical was only at 87 last stage. He's already broken that record, and he's on pace to break 100 kills if he were to get just 8 or 9 here. He'll tie it at 8, or he'll get exactly it at 8. He'll break it at 9.
That's wild.
That's the kind of thing that you don't see from somebody who doesn't have that much experience in this kind of context, who is this young, who has this kind of poise. It's nuts to see this kind of trajectory. It's translating. He hasn't faltered since Charlotte.
Yeah.
I'm kind of wondering when he's going to fall off the wagon, but he hasn't yet.
Even when he's had missteps, he's been able to bounce back quick. So definitely a player to watch. On the other side of the arena, we have Space Station Gaming. This is a team, of course, that has been, you know, around the NAL for a long, long time. They've got a storied history in Siege, but this stage is probably one of their darkest moments, it feels like.
I will say about SSG, they've always, like you said, they've always been an NAL team. They've always, you know, like, they want to invite. Like, 2022, obviously it was their core, Rampy, Foltz, Bosco. But, like, to say, like, they're doing the best, they're not. But a team like SSG, you got to realize, like, yes, they want to invite, but they're going to have valleys and peaks. And right now they're going through a valley. And hopefully soon they can get to their peak again, because the peak is where every pro player enjoys.
Of course. I mean, you like winning.
Yes.
I mean,
it's fun, you know?
Yes.
What can you say? At the end of the day, winning is more fun than losing. But this Space Station team, you know, despite their best efforts, have not quite gotten the W's on the board the way they wanted to. And again, I think, I feel like yesterday kind of typifies the Space Station gaming experience for Stage 2. Do you agree with that, Jacob? Where it's like, they definitely show strength. They show that they are not a bottom-of-the-barrel team, but they also show that they just quite can't take the top teams out right now.
On one side side of the ball, they're great. On the other side of the ball, they crumble. When they're trying to stop advances towards site, that is where we see the most problems. We're not seeing Rampy win these fights that we're very accustomed to seeing him always hit these shots, and he's not doing it. It's the same thing with Fultz, or sometimes it's a misposition. There's something on defense that doesn't click. They are dead last in the league on defense at the moment. By comparison, are second in attack. So that's fine. You don't have to concern yourselves with it. Keep on innovating, keep on being creative, think outside the box, think one step ahead of your opponent. If you do that on attack, that's a sign that I think the IGLing part on that aspect of the game
is really good.
Is working. But then you shift it to defense, and why can't you make the same difference there?
I feel like, especially with this new meta, I don't feel like they're really utilizing or expecting a lot coming from the attacking side. Like, they're doing a lot on attack. When it comes to defense, I don't think they're prepared for what's coming to them.
Is it that they're not responding to attack or repick appropriately?
Well, I mean, we'll find out. But for now, let's digest where we're going to go map-wise. The bans are in, and it's time to see where the game is going to be played. No Villa, no Cafe, the first couple bans.
Yep, I was looking for Villa to get taken off the board immediately, and Cafe is one of those maps that, I mean, Spacestation banned it for the first time last week. They are traditionally a team that likes Cafe, but OXG just say no.
I mean, they did lose them last stage to it, so.
That is also true. So let's not do a rematch on the same map as Xset learned just last game. No Clubhouse, which is obviously where Spacestation tried taking TSM yesterday, and that fell in an 8-6, so not the kind of thing they want to attempt a repeat on. No Border, which is a map that Spacestation have shown some proficiency on in the past, so it's a smart ban for OXG. We're getting to a point where for Oxygen, there's not really a map on the table that they still really don't like, except for Oregon. They've banned it almost every single time. Chalet is obviously gone, so they're getting to like more maps that they are showing a higher willingness to play, and now Skyscraper and Bank, so it actually is Oregon. I don't know what to feel like.
All right.
I don't know. I feel like it's going to be a good show. I mean, I was hoping OXG would take, SSG to Border, because I want to see one of the best Border teams play Border.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's Oregon. I think both teams have capability of 1v1 fraggers, where I say like Vertical can kill Skies, or Rampy could kill Newers and stuff like that. Like they always cancel each other out.
And so far, Spacestation have played this once. They've lost it. OXG have not played it yet this stage. Big difference, though, is they both ban this a lot. So it's the kind of thing that it's nice if both teams have a very consistent level of readiness to play it, but how it develops in the server is a totally different question.
Well, find out. But no matter the thoughts on that, we have to make predictions. That's right. We have to put our data where our mouth is and guess. That's how the phrase goes, right?
That sounds disgusting. I don't want to do that.
And guess who's going to win? An educated guess, of course. And we'll start our educated guesses with our casters, swapping things over to Blue and Stokes. Welcome. How you doing?
Pretty good. How about you?
Good.
Hanging in there. Yeah, this matchup is going to be, I mean, again, we've kind of been knocking this point home like crazy. These are going to be some very close matches. This game is no exception. Yeah, it's been a bit of a rough season for Space Station Gaming, but still, there's no reason why this game shouldn't go the distance, especially with us going to Oregon, which is like got to be the most played map we've had in quite some time here in NA. A lot of teams have been going back to it, so it has been played out to an extent. I do think, though, that Oxygen has been, despite the issues with Vertical, a really strong package this season. I see no reason why that's going to drift away today, so I feel like Oxygen is going to claim this match.
There you go. Oxygen for Blue. Stokes, agree? Disagree?
I think I gotta agree here. I think Oxygen all the way, honestly. SSG, they just haven't been looking too hot, and I don't think it's gonna change up here on Oregon.
I agree. I think a team needs to prove to you that they're capable of beating a team like that. There needs to be like indisputable proof. But I don't think we see that from Space Station. It's not impossible.
I just noticed
Not
something
impossible.
though. I'm actually beating everybody in pick record again. Look at that, Tommy. It's so strange.
I wasn't looking.
Oh, man.
But
Nobody say anything, and maybe he'll stop talking.
it's like a T-Rex.
Apparently
Maybe
you're tied
if
with
you don't
someone
move,
else.
you won't
If you
stop.
don't
Apparently, it's probably Jesse.
Yeah.
Is it
someone
Jesse?
who's
Hold on.
not on this screen right now. You're
Oh,
tied with
Jesse is tied with you. We're being
Is Jesse
yeah.
J Chick among us? I think he is actually. Yes, him and I are both at 57% at the current moment.
Spirit of Jesse J. Chick watches over all of us from right over there. He's just watching the games from backstage right now. Well, let's see. We'll check back with you guys in a second. Let's see what our analysts have to say.
Listen, when I used to play On Call, I remember that Oregon was not his favorite map, but then he played TSM on it, Stage 3 of NAL 2021, and he dropped like 22 kills. But even though he might have a lights out game again on a map he doesn't like, I will have to go and say Auction for the safe pick.
All right. Seems safe to me.
It's a lack of confidence thing for Space Station. I think after the response that a very emotional guy like Rampy had, like after that kind of performance against TSM yesterday, I do think that kind of thing is difficult to shake off in spite of him still being, a very decorated player. And the hole that SSG have been in collectively points towards OXG for me. And then you factor in OXG's strengths, and that makes me think they're going to win even more. Map doesn't really factor that much in for me on this one, so I'll still take the boys in green.
It's true. There you go. And so that means it's time for the coin to see who it's going to pick. Oxygen for heads, Space Station Gaming for tails.
It's going to be Oxygen. We're going to have the curse again.
We need Space Station.
We're going to have the curse again.
It's heads. Coin says Oxygen.
Oh.
There you go.
Fan vote's going to say Oxygen, and we're going to lose
All
all our
right.
predictions.
I mean,
Yep.
I would imagine the fan vote's going to say Oxygen. Yeah, you'd expect it to at this point. What's it going to be? Oxygen? Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Now,
Not the curse again. My prediction's going to keep going down.
I thought we
again.
were done with the curse. I
Okay.
thought that was over, but it happened last game.
So
it happened last game.
Let's just remember something.
Yes.
OXG don't have to win. All they have to do is get 6 rounds in this game,
Well-
and they qualify for Berlin. So even if they lose, it doesn't matter because they need the 1 round, and they are locked in 100%,
That is
cannot get knocked out.
And even if they lose, it's still like 99.9% chance sure that
Exactly.
they get through.
It's based
So,
on what other people do. Right.
Yeah. You don't want to put yourself in that situation. There's that 0.001%.
You don't. You might as well lock it in today. If you have a chance, do it. But if the curse is still a thing, all OXG need to do is win 6 or 7 rounds.
Yeah, I would say they want to win it all because the seeding.
Yeah.
You know.
True.
You don't want the seating. That can come in very
Yeah.
handy. Community poll. What do you have to think about? Who will get more entry kills? Newers or Rampy? I mean, lately.
Stats say Newers. So
Lately it'd be Newers.
Newers. I
Yeah,
will
definitely
say,
Newers.
I will say Newers. He is
Yeah.
18 and 16 on entry.
That's right.
I'll do one collective double check. Newers
18.
and 16. Rampy. Oh, I have to scroll way down to find him.
Oh
That's,
my gosh. We're going to take
Yeah.
a quick
14 and
break. When we
11.
come back, it's going to be the match we've been waiting for. Or some people have been waiting for anyway. Oxygen versus Space Station Gaming. Do not touch that browser. We'll be back with Rainbow Six North American League in just a few.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, to the North American League. We are getting ready to jump into our very exciting third match. Space Station Gaming going up against Oxygen, and it's a must-win for Space Station Gaming if they still want to keep themselves in contention for a major at some point this year. Here, obviously seeing Charlotte evade them. They don't want to have the same fate befall them for Berlin, so they have to come out with the win. But even then, things are going to be looking bleak. Stokes, will they be able to do it, or are things just looking a little too good for Oxygen right now?
Oh, you're putting me in the hot seat
Yeah,
right off rip,
giving you the
huh?
tough questions.
Oh, man. See, that's why I wore the SSG gear yesterday, because I saw this match and I was like, Do I want to wear it when I have the potential to cast them against Oxygen? Probably not. So I didn't. And there's a really good reason why. I really don't think that SSG is going to be able to get this game over on Oxygen. They're just looking too spicy right now. That's the big thing. For Space Station, it hasn't been the best of straights either. I mean, they have so much talent on this team, but it just feels like they can't get on the same page.
Feels like there's a little bit of hope considering we're going to be going to Oregon. Obviously, that map's been played out pretty well by a lot of teams here, so Oxygen, as well as Space Station, should really know the ins and outs that what their opponents are going to bring to the table, but that's a bit of a double-edged sword for Space Station because that same negative kind of applies to them too, and that they're not really going to be able to do anything super crazy here, super innovative from a strat perspective to try and get a win, nor would they probably want to, because if they did have something in their pocket, more than likely going to be wanting to save that for a major. So it's going to be a little tough for them to be able to make it happen, especially considering the recent success we've been getting out of Auction. There are some weak points, namely Vertical, who is kind of the go-to fragging player on this team, having a little bit of a soft stage so far. But the good news is everyone else, especially Newers, has been picking up the slack to a huge degree, so it doesn't really matter that much for them.
Yeah, and honestly, past that, if your weakest point happens to be one of the best players inside of North America, then you're probably doing a pretty bang-up job, I'd say. And Oxygen have definitely been doing that. If you guys didn't see, they're practically already going to the Berlin Major. All they need inside of this game, 6 rounds, as Caliber Jacob was saying on the desk. They don't even need to win the thing, they just need to make it to overtime. So SSG has a lot to do, and it starts off on the offensive side of Oregon.
Yep, but even if they lose, I think I saw the graphic before, they have a 99.9% chance of still going, even if they outright lose this game.
But you're saying there's a chance.
There is indeed a chance that they might not make it. I feel like it's a pretty far stretch, though. So either way, Oxygen's looking pretty safe, but they've got a chance to make it absolutely safe by locking in the win here. Let's see if they can get it done as we go live onto Oregon first ban. Not going to be a surprise. Those Ying basement executes are still far too bothersome for a lot of defensive teams to deal with, so Oxygen is going to be knocking that right out. Meanwhile, SSG just doesn't like the current meta, so they're going to get rid of Finka.
That's good news, because that means that Newers has to play anything else. So we'll see if it has the same effect as we saw yesterday in one of our later matches. Zami is going to end up getting banned out by SSG as well. Just so potent with the current meta. We've seen her time and time again, at least within the recent play days, as people have gotten looser with her ban, but I'm sure that that's about to be tightened back up as we get closer to Berlin. Mira is going to be the one to round out the rest of the defensive end here for Oregon.
Does mean there's going to be a lot left in play for the defensive side specifically. All mitigation operators are left in the pool, so you could triple stack that. A few other dangerous things will be left in play as well, so we'll have to see how SSG is going to deal with it now as we get themselves onto their first attacking round. Not going to see any huge surprises here off the initial pick, but keep in mind, folks, we do have attacker repick now, so at least the bottom line up there could change quite dramatically before the round actually gets started. Site choice as well, not going to yield us anything crazy here as Auction go to the expected start in the basement.
Yes, indeed. And with these offensive and defensive bans in, we are going to have access to a lot of things that we don't normally see. The big one for Oregon being Kaid, if we ever see that on the defense. But as John was just talking about, attacker repick has made it to where some of these super influential defensive picks aren't as strong just because you can adjust over to another offender accordingly, like Thatcher, to be able to get rid of an Electro Claw or something like that that's holding up a hatch or a wall. So Oxygen more than likely won't be prioritizing that all that often unless they can catch SSG off guard, but we'll just have to see. As of now, they're going to be starting off in the basement. They've opened up some different avenues to actually work their way back to site, the big one being the freezer hatch here inside of security.
For that, we are going to see at least a little bit of presence maintained by Oxygen on the first floor, continuing into the actual round now, of course, as SSG has spawned out. In their operator department, not going to see any major departure from what they had initially selected here. In fact, I believe mostly everything is going to stay exactly the same. We'll see a small thematic shift for a few players here, mainly just bringing in the secondary hard breach there for Skies. Other than that, Bosco will be taking care of most of the duties in that department. However, it's going to take some time for SSG to even get to those hatches. As you can see, OXG has quite the spread of a defensive push upstairs even to try and fend off the pushes from SSG here as they try to take initial control.
SSG has built themselves up around this top floor, but Vertical had been flirting back and forth with Hot and Cold, and Master will finally dust him. It's going to be the opening kill going the way of the defense, but Rampy's found a hole here in the roam game. They were holding down Kitchen for some time, but actually at a second glance, Auction is backed off due to the fact that they got the pick onto Hot, and they really don't need more than that, and they know that they can more than likely play this off of site with their utility game, and well, that's what they're going to choose. back off and see if they can continue to allow Laxing to add more of these Wamai discs as SSG will be forced to clear out the rest of this mid-floor and start getting control of these hatches.
Yeah, I love the second floor play from Vertical. Generally speaking, it's going to be a little bit risky just because of how far you have to extend yourself out from the site, but he plays it perfectly. He's able to obviously knock out the presence of Hot and Cold. Thankfully, the sledge top-downs aren't going to be a make-or-break thing for SSG in this round, so the loss of the operator itself is at the end of the day for our attackers, but the big problem is going to be that 5v4 that they're now forced into, as well as the kind of hesitation throughout the rest of SSG's clear that's going to have to come as a result of that deficit that they'll be fighting back from.
I mean, yeah, usually even on a West clear, like, the offense would already be getting hatch control right now. SSG is just now starting on things. This is just going to be really off on timing. Another unfortunate event here is the Flores drone will not be allowed to progress. The mute jammer being played on by Foxay will actually hold it back. Another one of those Rotero drones will get eaten up by the Alibi as SSG's been stunted for growth already in round 1. And past that, I mean, just remember, they're down one of their members. Fortunately enough, Rampy will be able to clean up Dream with a frag grenade, but that doesn't mean too much just yet until he's able to go 2 for 2. Make it 3 is Rampy warming up here today. Hasn't had the greatest of stages, but now taking it to Oxygen when SSG needs it most.
Beautiful execute from SSG. Bit of a mistake back over on the Harry Potter position. Dream had been droned out. Not sure if he noticed it or not, but it led to him getting naded into that corner. Bosco now with an open plant opportunity. He's going to take it. Doesn't look like any interruption coming in from the Oxygen camp either. Foxay barely sneaks the kill off on Disguise. As you can see, very low HP after finding it. But Bosco looking away. The timing's not going to play out for him. Foxay takes down nearly another member of the squad, and Laxing will be able to steal out one more, but that'll be it. SSG make the execute work despite the deficit at the beginning of the round, and they claim the first as a result of that.
That is Ramp Dog on a quad with the G36C on Yana. 2 for 2 on the frag grenades and got the rest done with the rifle. A highlight play to kick us off here on Oregon, which usually is a map that's decently slow. That's what we saw initially there up until the pick from Vertical. I love the call from Oxygen to back off and try and play it from sight, but some of those forward positions really punish just with the lack of utility from Oxygen in those positions. They only had the Wamai to try and prevent throwable utility, and it was exploited immediately by Rampy. So unfortunately, they lost those bodies in a situation like that, but they have an opportunity to try it yet again.
So let's see if they're going to be able to repeat the same amount of success, especially when it comes to the construction entry. That's where SSG was able to finally fight their way into the round here. For Oxygen, though, did a good job of delaying things down to that final minute, of course, where SSG thankfully was able to bring things back under their own control. But now the question becomes, does Oxygen double down on the aggression we were seeing, especially in areas like the upstairs portion of the map, or are they going to pull it back a bit, play more into a traditional bunker that we tend to see teams play out on this site? Maybe a little bit of extension into areas like Freezer, but aside from that, not going to be trying to play out too aggressively. It seems like they're going to double down on it, though, as Vertical still maintains that second floor positioning here, so they'll try to waste out the time in the first minute for a second round in a row.
Well, if we're going off of what we saw from the first round, Space Station's pretty slow at getting themselves into the building to try and contest any of the roam game from Oxygen, so OXG might be leaning into that and hoping that they can soak up more of this clock. Viewers will be playing down the stairs near security for the time being. See how long they can hold on to this. Foxay will be back over inside of Kitchen. And remember, SSG tried to deal with the top hold initially. That's how Houghton got punished by Vertical in this exact same position we see him in at the current moment. So Laxing's going to actually throw himself into Armory. And it is quiet around the map right now. Space Station, no forward progress, all except for the drones. And now trying to focus themselves over on the small tower's side. We'll have one of the drones discover a player inside of Kitchen, and Laxing will get found out on top. So now SSG has to pick and choose their battle. Be forced to try and push himself forward here. And oh no, Laxing with the sauce in round 2. Oxygen have the opener again, but does that mean they get the round?
Lucky on the timing for SSG. They're going to lose down the player again, but as Stokes was just mentioning, already been able to make up for that deficit once back on the previous round here. So it's already a problem that SSG have solved once. They're going to have to see if they can do it 2 times in a row, and with them losing that initial player much later into the round as well. Not to mention the fact the Lion has also been taken out, so that's most of the intel they would have been gathering in the execute now deleted. The Yana can still help out a little bit in that department being played by Rampy, but obviously he's going to be worried about other things, mainly on the entry duties once we get to that point of the round, so probably won't be of too much assistance there. Either way, SSG now refocusing up, getting ready to pop open the hatches and start working their way down through the back stairs.
Very nicely placed by Hot and Cold. Take out the deployable shield inside of Laundry. With a minute to go, SSG does have enough time to break this up. And
They're hot dropping
my, here we go, John. I better stand up for this one. SSG with 3 people dropping in, and they're going to immediately flood. They'll take down one. Can't get the second. It's an immediate trade from Oxygen as they shut down SSG. Stunted for growth here. Not too much to do past that. Skies will get taken down by Foxay on the rotation. I love the idea, but that doesn't mean that it's going to work.
Even got them a little bit at the beginning there, surprised them for the first few seconds, but very quick adjustment from OXG to make sure that they shut that down before it gets too far. Thankfully, a few key members able to get in the way of the clear on the interior portion of the site and take control for themselves.
I almost want the buck there as well, if you really think about it, right? You're in that CQC moment right around that bomb chassis. Slap a buck in there. You got the secondary hard breach with that skeleton key for those closer range engagements. Maybe it doesn't trade out in the same way, but the big thing is that Oxygen quickly identified what was going on with that hatch drop, and they didn't let it get too far. Obviously, only ended up losing, I believe, vertical inside of the freezer hallway there. So, bang up job by OXG, and they'll throw themselves to the heavens as they'll take control of the top floor.
So Oxygen going to get their site back under their control now downstairs and shift, of course, as Dukes was just mentioning, onto the second floor. Once again, things are not going to be too surprising here in terms of what we're going to be seeing out of the team. Fox is going to go for a little bit more of a comfort pick here in the alibi, so that'll give him a bit more freedom to roam around and potentially pick up some early frags for himself. Other than that, though, it's exactly what we expect to see. Norwich as well, adding the Cade into this one, potentially going to slow down the execute from SSG a bit. They are aware of this. They're not necessarily going to bring anything that will immediately counter it, so we'll have to watch out for that. It'll be nades primarily, but thankfully in a position where they can be caught out from down below, so should still be able to work their way through areas like walk-in should it become relevant to SSG's execute. Aside from that, though, they're going to make some pretty small changes too. Just Bosco changing up the style of hard breaches. We'll go over towards an ace, and Skies, of course, bringing the Nomad in to counter out some of this roam game. That's been a problem from OXG, but as you can see, SSG quite aware of that and now already working to counter it, as Vertical will lose about half of his HP trying to make a play in Yellow Hall.
I don't know about you, but I've been truly loving how Oxygen is holding the building at the current moment. They're constantly out towards the fringes of the map and forcing SSG to take their time inside of this opening minute to push OXG onto their back foot. It's making things really complex to where they don't exactly have the time they want towards the end of the round. Oxygen not going to be doing it in the exact same way we saw it initially as they've backed off of some of these more forward positions, but Vertical still downstairs inside of Freezer Hall. He's been discovered, so he'll move his way back into the stairwell. SSG starting to make some headway on the side as the summon charge will go down on Master, but past that, it's silence. SSG trying to discover more of what's going on inside of the site and try and get some of these Rotero drones in to remove some of this utility.
Things go a little bit quiet now because of that. Neither team probably going to want to try and step themselves out into a fight too early on here. We'll actually see as well that Rotero drone going to get interrupted for just a split second. I think it'll still end up making its impact in a moment, though. But we'll have to see. Actually, no, it looks like it did actually successfully get mute jammed out there by Laxing. So we're going to be able to get rid of that one. Another one will be taken care of as well. So Fultz not having the best of luck right now when it comes to these Rotero drone runs, as 2 of them at least have been mitigated.
Oh, Rampy's going to pocket the nade. Was so very close to a kill there. See if he lines it up again. Has to be hopeful about the alibi. Oh, and it's going to down Foxay. Fragmentation luck going his way as it bounces back, and he should be able to secure it with the second one. He will. The Verticals found Fultz in the process. Laxing still holding on to security. Looking to start swinging the door as well, just trying to make his presence known and get them to try and focus on his positioning that would give Vertical some opportunities at the end of the Z hallway. Rampy now trying to look to see if he can sneak his way onto site because he knows that SSG needs to start making some headway, but Laxing, he's not paying attention to the hop here, and Bosco's now planting inside of dorms. Looks back up to the window, but the damage is already done, and now he has to go searching through the sea for this man, but it's open ocean. Oxygen can't find him, but Laxing finally takes down Bosco. Most of the control, though, over to SSG. Vertical does have some presence inside of the site now, but he's the only Oxygen member alive, and this is looking like SSG's got the round in the bag.
Super tough retake here for Oxygen to even start to pull off. Obviously, this wrap from Hot and Cold is going to immediately take down Vert and end the round there, but unfortunately, as soon as we saw Rampy get that first entry, which allowed them to go for the plant, the members of SSG were set up nearly perfectly to just slowly back up away from that plant position and crunch out any opportunity that Oxygen might have had to try and take down those those players on the way out. So beautifully done from SSG. A little bit relied on that entry happening to make it work, but once that was done, it was easy sailing from that point forward for the squad, it seemed.
Yeah, really difficult situation there for Oxygen, because it's not exactly a misplay, but it's one of those decisions that you wish you could pull back.
They
there
were
near
also,
the tail end.
they were like super split up was the big problem for Oxygen too. Like you mentioned there with Laxing not being able to catch the window hopping because he was worried about the two players trying to push up white stairs.
This is exactly where this goes. If Vertical doesn't rotate out of Z, somebody's there to watch the door, and you're able to watch that window. It's one of those things where, like, exactly what I was saying. It's nobody's fault, but you wish you could go back and change that decision. You know? So it's just one of those things. They get a call on site. Vertical's one of the guns downstairs. You got your site set up split where you're 2 upstairs, 2 down. You want to try and reinforce that site setup. Make sure you have all of your guns for the most part there. Laxing can try and play out a situation downstairs because, well, that's what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to play till death inside of security. But unfortunately enough, it was death for the rest of the team as it did not work out for him. Also, just another note there for SSG, it was kind of awkward initially what they were going for on the master side with everybody over near small tower. It ends up working out in the end, but I think it was by design though.
Yeah,
it was just a little weird because most of the time whenever we see a setup like that, just because the Sonics were doing that for so very long with a security or like a security kitchen setup, a lot of teams just started taking that top floor quickly and forcing those players to try and come back through other means instead of trying to use the big window. But SSG, again, they just get away with it. Bosco hopping the window, Laxing can't watch it, and everything else in between that we saw there for round 3. But that's old news. New business now as round 4 is on the docket. And we've already started things up, but as you guys know about Oregon, not too much has happened just yet. Have an opportunity here for Newers. He's going to tag up Fultz right in the knees. Have fun trying to walk after that.
Pretty much right when he was pulling his phone out to check cameras as well. So really unfortunate timing for Fultz as he pretty much is going to be locked in an animation. There has no way to avoid that damage since it was thrusted upon him. So easy 50% HP drain. Going to go out onto one of the members of SSG. Obviously Fink is banned, so no redeeming that at this point of the game. And away from that, things going back to the slow clear from SSG. But there's reason behind this. As you can see, Sky's still working on opening up attic access. They're not going to make a move until that's completed. A few other steps need to be checked off the list as well here, like some action downstairs. Looks like they're building up to, so we will have to wait for SSG to complete that before they're going to be in a good position to make this play happen. Trying to take out as well, I think, the Mute Jammer as well as the Electric Claw on the walk-in wall, and they'll finally be able to do that after dumping a boatload of utility on top of it, but nicely done from Foxe to immediately counter it out with one of his impacts.
So if you ever want to impact trick that wall, you got to do is break up the flooring there, and you need to throw your impact on one of the fan blades that are to the left and right. If you throw it too close to you, then obviously the fragmentation won't be able to get the breach, but if you're able to get it out towards that other side on any of the other 3 fan blades, then you're able to destroy any hard breach on that, unless Abana wants to set her stuff up too high, or you try and slap a Selma really high as well. But anything like an exothermic or stuff along those lines will be removed from play, and now SSG worse for wear because of it. Concussions in from Rampy. He'll be able to discover a player at the top of white, but this timer is dwindling, and SSG really needs a pick at the current moment.
Sky's sitting back, waiting for the opportunity to work himself forward. Here, a 1-to-1 trade from the main team trying to work their way in, and Vertical now pinching from small tower. All the white stairs pressure is dead. It's all being pushed in from Attic's side now, and unfortunately not going very well at the moment for SSG, but finally downing another member of the squad. Dream gets knocked out inside of Kids, confirmed by Skies as well. That'll warrant some respect to come in from Oxygen. They're actually going to back up, allow Hot and Cold as well as Skies to get in, and even get the plant because of how far away they've backed up now. An attempt to rotate back around. One player still going to keep their presence on the white stairs push here, but as well, Vertical dashing past the air jabs. As you can see, now getting hit by a second one. Hotton trying to line up for the double kill, but it won't work out. The repeats from Oxygen are just far too strong, and they'll claim another second round for themselves.
I am distraught at the fact that Vertical won that repeat. Oh my, so unfortunate there for Space Station. A really, really good opportunity to win that round there, but it goes to the wayside. Auction able to pick it up on the retake. Big shout out to Vertical there as well for winning out that engagement. I mean, honestly, once I saw the repeat, I was like, oh, there's not a snowball's chance in hell that he's able to get this, but able to shut down that member, and then the rest of SSG obviously faltering as well. Hot and Cold not able to get it done, and that's going to mean that Oxygen can go back downstairs. So far, far, they've been neck and neck through the first 4 rounds. It's 2-2 at the current moment. Oxygen, at least playing up to snuff, I would say. They've been having a pretty good day thus far. SSG, you could say more of the same, especially for Rampy, who hasn't been having the best of stages. Just kind of touched on that during the analyst desk. -9 before this game started with a .91, so definitely not playing up to his capabilities, but showing off exactly what he can do here today.
So since we obviously have played out 2 times on each site, Oxygen have already re-unlocked Basement for play, so they're going to be making a quick return to that one and try to lock in a 3rd round for themselves. Have already learned their lesson from the initial execute coming in from SSG, have been able to solidify it, but now does SSG change up their game plan to try and negotiate a 3rd round, a 2nd win on this specific site? Or is Oxygen's adjustments going to stay strong and continue to hold well for them to be able to claim their own 3rd round? Maybe even a 4th coming up after this as well here. Either way, it's a very close matchup right now. Neither team in control of the game. And as a result, we continue to wonder how exactly things will evolve. Newer's going to be the one to try and play things out aggressively this time in the event. We see a clear coming out from the small tower side. And Vertical, as usual, still going to be messing around with things upstairs by Master.
There's one thing I know about Rainbow Six Siege. It never evolves, John. It usually devolves into chaos, and that's what I am awaiting. We'll see what happens here as the drones will be brought back to showers and picked up from the Yana of Rampy. Fultz in tow as well to try and help with this info game. They obviously know that Foxy is going to be inside of securities. He's constantly pelting the showers hallway with that MX4 Storm. The Valkyrie has been discovered, and that's going to force them back into the freezer hallway. They're going to hold on to that for some time. And Vertical actually work his way across the field as well, over towards Big Tower. And actually, him and Foxy seemingly wants to try and hold on to this tower area for a longer period of time. And this could really get in the way of SSG's clear once they start going for this big tower take.
This is a very proactive attempt to counter out the usual play we've seen from SSG, which has been relying on at least one player working their way down through back stairs. Obviously, we saw a bit of a hot drop in through meeting room this time, but even going back to the first round's play, SSG did send the majority of their forces in through the back stairs and construction avenues. They're hoping by putting some presence here, they can get in the way of that, stop the execute of the usual strategy from SSG and force them to change up their hand, possibly make some mistakes along the way that they can then abuse. But obviously, heavy commitment of their forces here from Oxygen just to make this possible. So it could end up coming back to bite them if SSG have a secondary plan ready and they can get into the site quickly enough to make these players in Big Tower a moot point.
SSG has to focus on these hatches right now and start accomplishing these tasks. Otherwise, they're going to get punished simply by Oxygen's presence. They don't need to do more than that, as they've constantly been soaking up this clock. Neurons will finally go down, but it's inside of the last minute, and hot and cold. I mean, he's an inch away from death. Fox will drop back down. He'll get discovered from Yana's clone, and looking to see if he'll try and work his way back through Attic. He'll make this decision as he propels himself forward. Frag grenade out now as we get on board with SSG and Vertical, trying to hold things down around the construction area. The frag grenade out, won't be able to do it. It rolls back towards him as it hadn't been cooked. What an unfortunate circumstance for him, but what a fortunate one for Foxy as he takes down the case holder. Some help here from Dream, but doesn't really get too much. Case back in the hand of Rampy. Laxing has to work his way back through, but Foxy, they put all of the weight on his shoulders, and SSG will knock it off. His head, that is. His SSG will be able to take the round.
Foxy just so close to clutching it out by being able to snipe out the planter from the back stairs, but the exchanges are just too quick and too strong from SSG. They're able to take control of it instead, so they get their 3rd round on the board. The lead is now theirs again, but let's stay there. Oxygen not going to be feeling potentially transitioning over towards the 2nd floor hold, mainly because that's still going to be locked away, unfortunately, so they can't even do that. Going to be forced onto their tertiary site now inside of meeting halls. They do not feel the replay on basement, given what they just executed towards the previous round.
Absolutely, and when it comes to the kitchen sites, this is the preferable one, I would say. A lot of teams going for kitchen meeting over kitchen cafeteria. It's not that cafeteria isn't played, it's just that it's a little bit annoying whatever you do. You really have to focus and try and buckle down on shower and make sure that the offense can't bowl you over and get an easy plant inside of cafe that could lead to one of the easiest post plants inside of the current map pool. So we'll have to see what SSG can potentially do now that we're looking towards this other site. They're going to be bringing the Thermite because of this, more than likely focusing on a stage take, and the more and more we see from this blue, the more and more I think that's exactly the case. Fultz, this is locked in. Whenever you see the 3 seconds on that timer, no one can change a single operator, so that means that we have Glass for our last round of offense for SSG.
Indeed we do, so we'll see what exactly SSG are going to be able to work towards on this. There is a lot of very long crosses that can be established on on this site execute, so I can absolutely see an area where Fultz will be able to work this, especially if he's able to get those smokes down in the correct position, which he shouldn't have a problem doing, because not only does he have his own smoke grenades, but Bosco's carrying 2 in the pocket as well, so they should have more than enough to get the job done. Even looking at the defensive side, they have gotten rid of most of the mitigation. Sometimes they've been working with Wamai alongside the Malusi, or rather the Amara, but not going to be seeing that come out here for Vertical this time. So go for the laser gates instead. So that should be pretty easy for SSG to be able to work their way past.
Oh.
Set up for a play inside. This will be a dirty angle from Oxygen, though, if they're going to be able to work it.
And you got Foxy on the counter angle all the way over at Small Tower as well. This is just disgusting. I don't approve of any of this. Unless they get a kill, then obviously I'm very about it, but we'll have to see. Oh! First headshot right there,
It's
right with the DMR.
Casual one tap as
Literally a singular bullet out of that DMR, and it just blows Newer's head off of his shoulders. No longer Valkyrie is allowed to exist inside of this map, minus her cameras. Laxian will get discovered by a drone, but none of the SSG members are there to actually be able to capitalize on that. But they've got to be happy with how far they've already gotten inside of this opening minute and a half. They've gotten a pick onto a pretty influential player, and they still have access to all of their own utility to try and get a plant down.
Vertical, though, getting the counter against Fultz. You may have seen it getting cooked up there at the top of the laundry stairs at the start of the second floor. He was just about to peek the window. Fultz did not check for it, and as a result of that, obviously we could assume that Vertical went for the peek and found success in getting the trade against Fultz.
Yes, indeed. That's exactly what more than likely happened, my friend. Have one of the Gone Sixes out, be able to destroy one of the Banshees on the floor. Speaking of Banshees, Foxy is going to reposition himself as Malusi in towards meeting in behind the sandbags, a position that we've seen in recent history here on Oregon grow into infamy. And actually, what a position right now from Fox, as he is literally directly under the stage. What an angle for him. Has found one up on the stairwell, but now he's going to drop down low, and this could honestly be a make or break moment there for him, as I'm more than likely going to have the potential to rotate back up into tower stairs. Frag grenades out for Rampy. Oxygen, they still have a very solid delivery system when it comes to their util game. There's really nothing that SSG can do with the stage just yet, and Dream still has a smoke in his back pocket, and that's not even to mention laxing down low with the Nitro cell.
Last Toxic Babe gonna go out. Attackers now trying to brute force their way past it, going for a kitchen execute, but as you can see, Dream's here with the SMG-11. Quick switch to the shotgun. He won't be able to get the kill, however. Rampy trades it back out. We're in a 2v3, but he needs to get this plant down, and thankfully, he'll throw it down on the ground just in time. Problem being, though, he has 0 support on that position, so it's an easy trade out for Oxygen to lock in one more round of their own. It's a dead heat at halftime, as the score is locked at 3-3.
You know, I just realized I had been standing ever since that hatch drop from earlier. So I'm gonna take a seat here, and speaking of taking the seats, my God, Fultz, what a shot from downrange. That's the beauty of having some bananas to be able to shoot at whenever that scope does turn itself on. So it's gonna be tie game here between Oxygen and SSG, and I would really say it's neck and neck at the current moment. Both of these teams having answers for each other in a lot of different ways. I enjoyed a lot of SSG's kind of theory crafting that we saw with like stuff like that hatch drop and kind of the glass pick coming in and things along those lines. It was just a really fun half to watch, especially with the way that Oxygen was able to counter out a lot of those moments. So we'll see if they can get more done now, as Oxygen will be switching gears over to the offensive end, and they've got a little bit of a different look when it comes to their lineup. Not the most crazy thing when it comes down to it. We saw SSG using some line on their side as well, and everybody else making quite a bit of sense for a map like this.
Yep, Thunderbird's going to be added into the lineup for SSG. Shout out to Console Siege there. They remember that tournament for a few months ago?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's right. You weren't even with me on that one.
Was I not with you on
No, that
one?
was when I did one with Demo. Me and Demo got a nice picture of the Console Siege meta, and it's just Thunderbird every setup.
Well, it's almost like she has an assault rifle on defense that doesn't have a ridiculous amount of kick.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like the spear through 8 shoots wherever you want it. You take the 416C, and you're looking at the sun. That's just, it's just how it is. So a little bit of a better gun, and you really can't argue that, especially from a console point of view, where controlling recoil isn't exactly the easiest thing in the world. So definitely making quite a bit of sense there, my friend. And you know, this is making quite a bit of sense. This denial from SSG, but they don't know that Vertical's actually pushed his way into T2 already, and Rampy's going to go down because of it. Dream, he's taken a lot of flack, but he's not dead just yet. So there's a frag grenade in his pocket, and SSG looking for their answer in round 7.
I'm going to slowly start to back away from the current position, hoping for maybe one more member of the Oxygen roster to hop in through that window up into T2, but it's just not going to happen here. He'll have to give up the position sooner rather than later, or face potentially being executed upon. There's a possibility he might be waiting this out too in the event that he doesn't get cleared, so maybe he could have some sort of late flank, but he's going to get cleared in just a second here. As you can see the drone rolling up, there you go, he's been cleared. So now has to get his butt the heck out of here before he gets hunted down by the large majority of Oxygen players that are slowly surrounding him at this point.
Yes, indeed. Hutton has one inside of Attic. That's going to be Vertical. Svolts takes down Foxe, and that's really good news for SSG because technically at the current moment they're ahead. Dream does indeed have some low HP, so they'll be looking at that to see if they can try and fight back and try and get something done there. Vertical is going to fall off of this top floor. Just remember that we do still have Hutton inside of that area at the time being, so has the potential to try and get a flank off, but it's so very quiet as of now. Bosco, he's going to move his way up into the back stairwell. Has one, but it's just going to be the clone. As you can see, it gets dealt with accordingly, pushing down the staircase. And Nitrocell out off of those stuns, and Sky's actually going to be the one to get a kill. He's all the way upstairs as well, and that's going to be onto Laxing. Again, Dream's still very low, and it's gotten down to this. It's a 2 versus 4. We're going to have Newers be able to pick up 1 and make it a 2 versus 3, so still doable, but the positioning of SSG is so strong as of now.
Very desynced execute coming in from Oxygen due to the multitude of issues they faced over the course of this round, and they're just not going to be able to make it work with the remnants they have left. SSG shutting it down with much better prowess in terms of their capability to execute. They're on the first round of the defensive side, and as such, they will take the lead once again here, just barely though, at 4-3. 3 rounds to go, and they will lock in a regulation victory. Keep in mind, this is an area where SSG absolutely would want to have a regulation victory, as the 3 points are going to be in the world for them. If I remember our graphic from earlier, I think it was a 29% chance of them qualifying if they take a regulation win. If it goes to overtime, it goes down to like 10% or something like that. So
yeah,
definitely going to be wanting the 3 points instead of the 2 here.
Ooh, what do we have here? Oxygen timeout. Okay, we just had to check the chat logs real quick, folks, as I was just staring so deep into Bluo's eyes while he was talking. That's on me. I mean, why you got to be so attractive, man? What are you doing?
Sorry.
It's the jacket. That's really what it is.
All right, so we're going to give Oxygen a moment to figure out how things got so discombobulated on the first round, as well as figure out a few of the other problems that have been surfacing that are going to apply more universally to this team. You can see Coach giving his input now. We'll be ending fairly quickly, though, and be getting our players back into it, as OXG do have some makeup work to do. Thankfully, it appears that the leadership has an idea of how to correct it, and they're going to use the pause now to quickly try and get things on the right track.
Yes, indeed. I think it's a pretty solid call here from Redeemer. Need to try and talk to the squad and make sure that they're ready for the rest of this offensive end. And just as a reminder for everybody at home, Oxygen, in order to guarantee themselves a spot at the Berlin Major, all it's needed, 6 rounds. Don't need to win the game, just need to guarantee overtime, and they're going. So we'll have to see what happens with that. But looks like we're going to have a little bit of an issue, so we're going to get that fixed, and as soon as we get it done, we'll be back into game. But thus far, SSG playing a pretty strong Oregon up against Oxygen.
Yeah, definitely the case here. Definitely bringing some new things to bear as well, such as we saw with that hot drop working its way in. At the same time, Oxygen giving us a little bit of a different look compared to what we've been normally seeing on Oregon. Mainly the exploration that we saw on their defensive side of trying to roam on their basement holds up into the second floor. Generally speaking, that's not what we have been tending to see out of a lot of our teams. They've been keeping that mainly in the security and Fraser Stairs area where they try to level that aggression. Maybe a bit of an extension into Kitchen too, but Vertical bringing out something a little bit new here today. It's been working really well inside of that first half. As you can see, it was a menace on those basement executes, taking away so much of the time bank from SSG. And that's just one of the things that we saw out of the Oxygen camp inside of that first half.
Well, Hot and Cold trying to get some more hot hands. You know, honestly, why is that not his just first sponsor? I'm so lost. Somebody is really lacking in this department. We need to get somebody out here.
He's to hit up the Icy Hot Company.
That's what I'm saying. There's so many different trademarks for this man. Like, come on. All right, well, get these hot hands activated, and hopefully we'll be back in soon enough. Lycan's got him on deck, too. Look at this. I mean, we're just throwing him around. Oh, my goodness gracious.
There's a Silicon Valley scene about this.
Man, this is just... what a Wednesday. I'm just gonna leave it at that. What a Wednesday. This is game 1 too. We still got 2 games to go. By the way, I don't know what's been going on with this either. On a side note, while we're still on the fun stuff, what's been up with Bosco and the hats recently? Anybody know? You aware of this?
I haven't even noticed.
You've been noticing this?
To be completely honest, I haven't even noticed.
This might just be my ADHD brain noticing the dumbest things that are out in just general area. But yeah, he's just got a hat on.
Maybe
man.
just really like SteelSeries.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, we were talking about this yesterday. Sometimes you just need a lazy hair day. You just slap the hat on, you slap the beanie on, you slap on whatever. Just as long as there's no visible hair on your head, you're good to go.
Production, are we allowed to wear hats?
No, apparently not. That's
okay.
That sucks, actually, man. I wanted to wear my Bulls hat.
Yeah, I've got a new beanie. I want to rock it. It looks cool.
You look like a blue-collar worker with that thing on, by the way. It's amazing. Takes me right back to my Iowa corn boy days. Little Carhartt action there. But either way, folks, we're going to make sure that everything is right as rain inside of this lobby. Before we throw you back in, don't want to try and bait you before we're fully confirmed on what's going on. I'm also trying to impale John on the desk at the current moment. I accidentally chucked my Apple Pencil across. So, by the way, why do these things have to be like $100 per thing? Like, it's literally a pencil.
It's got to ask Tim Apple.
Just... Mr. Apple will be rolling over in his grave right now.
All right, so I think that we're good, guys. Obviously,
fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
I'd knock on wood, but the monitor.
Pretty sure we fixed it, so I think we're back in game now and getting back into this match. For anyone who did just join us while we were out of game for a few minutes there, it is SSG versus Oxygen. Obviously, you're getting yourself spoiled right now because the score is on your screen, so I am not going to hold back. It's 4-3 in the favor of SSG at the moment here. Only up by 1 round, though. This game has been very back and forth if you missed the earlier rounds, and of course the previous half here, almost a teeter-totter with these teams going back and forth at each other, so we have no clear winner projected yet.
That's how a teeter-totter works?
Does it? I don't know.
I don't know either. That's what I was asking you.
What is a teeter-totter? I just use it as a phrase of speech.
I've never seen a teeter-totter in my life.
I've never even been to a playground.
Playgrounds don't exist, John. They're a figment of your imagination. Your parents lied to you. It's like Santa.
That's the same thing Santa Claus told me.
All right, well, past that, though, and past the memes from our kind of technical timeout there, folks, we're finally into another round, so we have some fresh things to talk about, thankfully. And it looks like we're going to have double hard breach here for Auction. Obviously, it's going to be a top-floor defense from Space Station as they've been building up to this. They're going to have the Warden along for the ride as well. That'll work around the stun game that we could see working its way out from Oxygen, but more than likely just here for the burn. Now, the good news is there's really not much burn that they need in order to gain access to a lot of these portions of the map that they're looking into, as laser gates will be the only thing blocking those. So not that much of a tax when you think about it that way, as Fox 8 will swing into Armory and start applying pressure in from the east.
Fox 8 patiently back, waiting for his opportunity to jump out here and swing into action.
So unfortunate.
Not going to be able to find it here.
I thought Fox had it there for just a moment, but instead he went for the Rotero drone with the concussions coming in and everything else in between. Could have ended up taking out the Valkyrie of Hot and Cold, but I mean, beggars can't be choosers. They've gotten control of Trophy now, and they can start working for Master.
Newers as well, waiting for potential opportunity for him to try and push further into Master itself. As you can see, a lot of resistance built up from the SSG camp, both in terms of Hot and Cold and Bosco's position. Rotate a little bit deeper into games. Hot and Cold's progression into the connector will be noticed, however, so he's going to be forced back into a more default position. Bosco, though, still holding presence here, despite the fact that we have the walk-in closet breach. This is going to be a tough cookie to crack here for Oxygen, but they're ready to push past anyway. Sky shuts down the first bit of resistance, but Noor is able to trade on the inside of Attic. Hot and Cold now low, but with the trade, he has to run. Unfortunately, won't be able to get himself out of there. Still ends up going down. Bosco picking up one more exchange. It's still very close, though. Brought to a 2v1. Now a 1v1 as everything is coming to bear here. Rampy versus Dream to settle the round as both teams end up in almost opposite positions to where they started. Dream, though, still needs to get the case down on the ground. That's the biggest issue he's going to be dealing with. Tries to go as far away from Rampy Rampy as possible to mask the sound. Believe he's still going to catch it, though, as he's now racing up to try and stop this plant from happening. Won't get the opportunity to interrupt the plant, but he will still have the opportunity to clutch out the round. The flank coming back around here, doesn't have the right angle, but he's going to be trying to correct into it. Loses a lot of HP, but can't get the win versus Dream. He clutches it out instead, and Oxygen tie us up again at 4-4.
That was, and I mean in the most literal sense, a clown fiesta of a round. That was incredible. Just so many millisecond decisions being made by all of these players inside of this round. Back and forth we go, but finally Oxygen able to get it done inside of the 1 versus 1. But I mean, even then, Rampy having to do so much damage to Oxygen there at the very tail end of that round to even get that situation. So very well done from both of these teams, but Oxygen able to edge them out in the clutch. And now round 9 rather on the board, and it looks like we're going to have another little drone issue, folks. So we're going to throw it to a tech pause, and well, let's see what we can do about that. We'll get everything fixed up, and then we'll be back with you momentarily.
All right, so give us a moment, folks, and we'll quickly restart the game yet again as we try this one more time here. Oxygen, though, getting themselves a little bit of a boost there by being able to close out on that round and bring themselves back into the game here. SSG's momentum, unfortunately, not building up to a breaking point just yet, so still need to wait and see how they're going to evolve into that, though. Like you said, though, absolutely crazy execute. Really just came down to the individuals at the end of the day because things were thrown for a loop there in the middle of the fight. No one had really any control over any semblance of that gunfight, so really just came down to the raw skill of it at the end of the day.
You ever see that movie Jumper? You the one where the guy's got the superpowers and can like jump across the whole world and everybody's chasing him.
Oh, the one with Darth Vader in it.
Yeah. Yes, exactly that one.
Yeah.
But that's basically what that round felt like from our point of view, because it's like jump die, jump die, jump die, jump die, jump die. Oh, now it's a 1 versus 1. Like it's
pretty much
so crazy, so crazy. The frags that we saw from both of these teams for round 8. But as we were saying, round 9 is next up, and they are neck and neck. I know I was messing with you about the teeter-totter earlier, but that's truly what we're on at the current moment. Neither one of these teams can really gain an overall advantage. And I mean, honestly, it's just down to the talent that are on both of these teams. This is why I've been so disappointed in SSG. I feel like a disappointed father in a certain sense, because like this has been like from a biased point of view as a commentator, as a fan, SSG's just been one of my favorite orgs to watch in Rainbow Six for practically the entire time that I've been watching this game. Like I remember SSG when Redeemer, the coach of Oxygen, was playing on that team. You know what I mean? So it always really sucks when you see one of the OG orgs just not doing very well. And this stage has been kind of difficult for the SSG fans, but the big thing is that this is proof right here. The proof is in the pudding. They have talent. They know how to play this game. It's just that it really hasn't been coming together how they want to. And I think going forward that we could see another really good stage from SSG. I'm just got my fingers crossed here that we could potentially still see them in Germany.
Keep in mind, though, what this teeter-totter is potentially doing to their playoff chances. I know I've brought it up before. I'm going to bring it up again because it's the storyline right now, so I'm going to remind you guys of it. Oxygen needs a regulation win here to really keep their hopes alive of going to the major. They still have a chance, whether they close this out in a regulation loss or even a regulation win, but it's much, much less compared to if they just outright win this game. Oxygen, but to be real with you, they really don't need to care about this game too much because they've already got a 100% chance if they win this match outright, win it in overtime, or lose it in overtime. Even if they lose in regulation, they still have a 99.9% chance of going, so they're pretty much going regardless. So like I said, this game is more so just kind of keeping themselves in tip-top shape, making sure they give their opponents a good game as well here. It's all about that, because they've already managed to get themselves qualified to the major pretty much, and they're just looking for SI points more than anything.
Exactly. For Space Station, high-octane match. For Oxygen, just breathe. That's all you need to do. Exactly. You need to go out there, play your scrim, relax, take your time, and that's what Oxygen have been doing. It's been a slow roll from them, and, well, it's gotten them this far, hasn't it? And just to remind you guys again, only 6 points required from Oxygen to go to Germany. So that means that as of right now, as we sit 4-4, SSG really wants to start making a stand right now. They don't even want to let Oxygen get close, because if there's a simple mistake that's made inside of a round, Oxygen now take exactly what they need from SSG, and it's all over. So with that being said, in the round we go, and past that, Newers with probably the most interesting pick that you and I have gotten today.
Absolutely the case here. Slingshot is going to engage at some point in this round for Newers as he's bringing the Gara hook to bear. We have seen this used quite often by, actually, I think SSG used it a few weeks back as well to try and combine it with Sense as well once they were added into the lineup, but didn't really end up working out too well inside of that single round from SSG, so let's see if Oxygen can make better use of the guard hook by itself without the support of those smoke walls.
I'm just putting this out there. You know, if you hear Shake and Bake during the play-by-play of the section, it is all Blue's fault. And it is now. Here's the requirement. We're going to need 2 people to do something on the same team. Otherwise, the phrase, well, it just doesn't work, does it, Blue?
Oh, no.
Does not. Well, Oxygen has worked their way in towards Kitchen. They've gotten control of this for some time, so we'll see what they can get done with the frag grenades from underneath, but SSG aren't giving them a single look in that regard. No one playing around the kids' dorm space. Volt's downstairs inside of security, but he's not going to be making too much headway. And Newers?
This is bold if he goes for it.
This is an extremely bold strategy, Cotton. You are 100% correct on that. I don't know how the cross is going to work here. They'd really want to repel on the window, maybe get some attic pressure, and then big window. That's what they really want to hold on to here. And the case is on Newer, so we're looking for a very similar play to what we saw from something like Consulate out of BC earlier on inside of, I believe this stage might have been last, but either way, that's exactly what this play is building up to. And you can see Oxygen, I mean, they're taking their sweet, sweet time. Bosco could have an answer to this as well, and also I'm a little worried because as soon as he hightails it into here, we could see him die from underneath the actual bed frame, and that's the big part that, oh, there it is. Skies is actually going to get into the wall, and that's going to be the case down inside of sight, and now Oxygen have to answer for their sins.
Did Oxygen swing anyone else in among the chaos of Newers going down? That's the question, as we did have a player on Repel. It does not look like it, though, given how quiet everything has gone. And yeah, Fox didn't have this anywhere near breach enough to be able to swing in for the hop. And worse than that, Bosco more than likely would have immediately countered him out on trade. Vert, though, doesn't even care about the laser gate, just pushes right through it and finds the kill. He'll be immediately exchanged. Laxing and Foxy, though, on their upstairs entry, are able to get interior site control for themselves, evening it out down to a 2v2. Now case control maintained as well. Laxing given a little bit of a gift of life there. He's allowed to stay alive against that cross, and a second time. Bosco can't find the kill on the second engagement either. Rampy now finally picks up the first of it, but Foxy will trade it out. Now he needs to find the clutch, though, and Bosco, he's got a shotgun to win this one out with. He's going to go directly for the engagement. Will he find him? Yes. He'll kneecap him, knocking him out, and giving SSG yet another round.
Nothing quite like Boss Goat on an SAS operator. You love to see it for Space Station Hot, and you keep those hands going. You keep them warm. Keep on running those miles, my boy. SSG will be ahead by 1 round, but if we know anything about this series, that does not mean a damn thing when it comes to Oxygen. More than likely got one loaded up themselves, right in the chamber, ready to send back across the bow of Space Station.
Does not change the state of this game, as Stokes was just mentioning. They're only 1 round ahead still for SSG, so Oxygen need to keep this teeter-totter swinging. It is their turn to ascend into the sky. If they can close out on yet another basement attack, that's going to be the problem, though. SSG heavily reinforcing the interior of this site. Look at all the trap operators as well as just mitigation operators that are coming to bear here. We've got the laser gates, we've got the ADSs, we've got the Goyo canisters to hold things back. We've got the smoke canisters. We have got as well the thorn grenades that are going to be thrown out here also. SSG is bringing everything they possibly can, except for like, sorry. Except for, I just like lost my train of thought there really poorly. Yeah, except for obviously the big LMG operator here, which could bring in the incendiaries as well. Tachanka, that's really the only thing we could potentially be missing for SSG. Just couldn't remember Tachanka's name for some reason.
Yeah, Chunk, I mean...
There is so many operators now, it's starting to get me. Like,
53 was sense?
I think we've passed my brain's memory limit, so I'm occasionally lapsing on these now. I apologize for that.
Let me introduce you to a little thing called League of Legends. Let me tell you, I'm almost level 150 in that game. I still have no idea what's going on. But anyways, Oxygen warming things up inside of these first 30 seconds. And as you said, no LMGs coming to bear for OXG, which is a little interesting, especially with the current meta as of right now, but mostly leaning into the util that Oxygen is bringing to bear here. And this could be extremely useful at the end of the day. Have a lot of frag grenades in tow, especially with Dream bringing up Maverick. Have one of the laser blooms going off. Newers won't have his life removed from him as he'll quickly work his way out of the freezer stairwell, but he does have Bosco on the receiving end if they want to try and deal with this again.
Let's go move it up just to try and knock out any presence that might have been waiting behind that drone. Not going to be able to find it, but he chucks out a toxic bait for good measure anyway, just to keep things safe and keep things, more importantly, delayed away from any potential execute that OXG could play into here. So they're going to take things nice and slow for the reasons that we had already been mentioning. There is a boatload of utility to work their way past. They're going to have to hope that these Rotero drones make impact on this round, as if not, things are going to be going very bleak very quickly for the potential execute that Auction will want to work in towards. Starting off with this one right here, which will not be able to knock out the presence of that deployable shield here. Still going to stick in, so Foxa needs to use a second drone now to fully get rid of it.
Yes, indeed. And that's going to be the only deployable shield inside of Elbow for Sky, so he's going to play the angle for some time and still has the opportunity to fall back when he so chooses. They have one reinforcement still in their pocket as well, so more than likely intended for that rotation hole once he does fall back more towards stock. Another Rotero drone out will discover Rampy's position inside a freezer hallway, but this is all just collection at the current moment, and a kill for Newers. Tries to hit the flick on the pillar player, but Rampy swings perfectly into that area. Takes him down. Fantastic answer from SSG as they're holding Oxygen at the gates.
Rest of Oxygen here, as you said, being held back, not going to have the confidence, even with the flashes assisting them to swing down on the inside. Rampy as well, getting eaten up hugely here by Incendiaries. He'll be brought down nearly to half HP as a result of that, but the rat works out, unfortunately. Too quick on the exchange, though, from Laxing, only able to put together one. Keeps us down into a 2 versus 3 now, as Bosco has been able to knock another member of the OXG attacking force. That's going to prompt Laxing to try and take his teammate's place, but Bosco still here, ready to knock them out. It's another quick shotgun kill for him, leaving everything onto Vert in a 1v3. Not looking good for him as he tries to move in. There's a cross already established by Houghton. He's going to be able to shut it down from SSG. Another one more round away from locking in the regulation victory that they so desperately need to stay in the race for the major.
This is incredible from Space Station. They're playing extremely well as of right now. And you know, it's really, really interesting as well because SSG has been a team that throughout the stage, they've been kind of backed into a corner. That's where I'd say they're at as of right now, right? And for Oxygen, it seems like they're really on the receiving end of a fight or flight version of SSG, and they are fighting for sure. They've basically gone feral as of right now. We've been seeing them just take it to Oxygen time and time again throughout Oregon. It's been handled extremely well. See if they can continue to do so as they are now eyeing up Kitchen and Meeting, a site that was quite the debacle between these two when Oxygen was the one taking it. SSG not having the best clear of tower initially and also having to deal with quite a few bodies inside of Meeting overall. Once we got near the tail end of that round, complicated things for sure. So we'll see if SSG can do some of the similar things to Oxygen's offensive side.
So SSG sits at the precipice here. They've only got 2 opportunities to close it down, but hey, it's better than 1 considering the way that this game has been going. That was almost the expectation of how this game was going to play out. Regardless, though, SSG giving us some great defensive stances. They are going to be forced onto a tertiary site, which is going to be probably a little bit worrisome for them. However, things have been looking good these past few rounds, and Auction has been crumbling a little bit in terms of their own capability to attack here. So with that window being left open, there's a great chance here for SSG to shut it down now. Get themselves a definitive 7-4 scoreline. It's going to be a quick clear from Oxygen, though, over here towards the bathroom side. They'll be able to make their way in, get small tower cleared out, as well as cafeteria and the showers without any conflict from SSG.
Now, on a side note, if SSG does end up taking this, I am blaming the rest of the talent pool for all of my mispicks this stage.
That is true.
Because a majority, and I'm not even joking, a majority of my picks that I've gotten wrong, all of you have picked with me. So therefore, it's everybody else's fault, not mine, and that's how we're going to go about that.
Couldn't any of us say the same exact thing?
Yeah, but your pick chance is just, well, your pick percentage just isn't nearly as high, is it? That's just
like 3% less than yours. We got a push coming out from Volts, though, in the depths of the basement, and he catches Foxay with his pants down, trying to entry in through a garage. He'll be knocked out. That'll be the Lion removed as well. So at least one part out of the 2-piece intel game taken out of this attacking lineup.
Yeah, see, that's a difference between like 4% right there, John. That's a win or a loss, isn't it? And now, speaking for Newers, he's looking for the dub, and he'll take down Skies, making it look easier and easier as they'll get their first kill. He'll continue to hold on to security, have some frag grenades to try and throw up and into this top floor cloud defense. Also try and work the angles above security, but this could be ill-advised depending on how Oxygen tries to negotiate for the site. We're gonna have some nice kills going on to SSG yet again from Oxygen. A frag grenade out, but nobody home as of now. To fall back here for Space Station's sake. They know that they're trying to work their way through the kitchen hallway, but they're still all upstairs. Oxygen hasn't found an exact spot to put this case down yet, but they're going to have to try and fend off a lot of the stairwell play here from Space Station.
Fultz continuing to wait for that potential cross out. As you can see, there is a member of Oxygen just waiting in the wings there. I believe it might be Vertical, potentially trying to make a play, and indeed it is going to be him, but he seems to be hyper aware of this big tower positioning, so he is going to wait it out here. It's a good thing too. Fultz is going to start to back away. Comes back though when he hears some noise going off, and he's going to need to. Nuris has picked up another kill now, knocking out Rampy, leaving all of the defense down to just Fultz as well as Houghton. Oxygen should be going for a plant relatively soon here, as they've got every right to work into it, but Houghton from up on top still able to make his impact, steals away one of the members of Oxygen, as well as finally stops the rampage that Nuris has been on so far in this round here. Won't be able to hatch drop. There's already a cross established to stop that. Houghton's still going to take a position next to it here, but absolutely zero interruption on the plant. Goes down smooth as butter for Oxygen, as now we are thrusted into a 2v3 post plant where Oxygen seems to have most situations. Red, there's the drop. That'll be countered, and now just the Stairs player, which also as well has been read into Vert, and Laxing shut that down incredibly quickly and push us to the final round of regulation.
Well, you have one shot, one opportunity. I'm not going to finish it.
Your reference game is just out of control today.
It is indeed. It is indeed. But, I mean, it's true. Space Station, they really need this regulation win as of now. They cannot allow Oxygen to go to overtime. This is it. If it does go to OT, you're probably going to see quite a few heads held pretty low from that roster, as SSG has definitely had the opportunity to take this game away from Oxygen. Oxygen now looking to see if they can propel themselves to overtime and guarantee a punch ticket to Berlin, Germany for the very first time in Rainbow Six's history, I do believe. So it'll be pretty interesting to not only have that event, but also have Oxygen there with how strong they've been playing.
Well, let's see. This is SSG's last opportunity. Of course, going to be a little bit more comfortable in terms of the site choice here, as they won't have to be as mobile to make their defense work here, as they'll be returning to the upstairs hold. But for Oxygen, things are going to get a bit more difficult as well, as they have less room to wiggle inside of their execute, and we saw the problems with that when they tried to go for that heads-up play with Nuris in the Gar hook and trying to work his way in through the below hatch, which didn't really work out too well for the squad. Aside from that, though, they are going to return to a more normal attacking lineup here. Formulation of hard and soft breach, as well as the capability to take out the utility deeper in the site with Fox's Rotero drones. We have to see how they can clear out the extended game from SSG and force them back into the bunker upstairs.
I'd say it's a pretty based chemical makeup, you know? I'm going to work out for Oxygen. They have everything that they need to break down a map like Oregon. So past that, SSG on an extension as Skies is all the way over instead of Big Tower, but he's by himself, all on his lonesome, and Oxygen looking to exploit that fact quickly. Starting to apply pressure all around the area, including the windows as well as the doors. So Sky's smart decision he can make, try and get inside the stairwell. Unfortunately enough, Rampy has actually came to assist him. This is going to allow Skies to work his way out of the tower. But Bosco actually going to get a big pick onto Newers? Question mark? How did he even get that all the way outside? Not even on the balcony, folks. He's on the rooftop past the balcony, and the M590 rather still gets Newers.
So a nice shot regardless coming out from SSG. Will delete one of the main stands here from Oxygen. One of the big players has been allowing for this team to continue to surge forward inside of the rankings in the NAL. Not going to be able to help out this time, however. Thankfully, just on the Zophius, utility losses at a minimal. That's pretty much can say that for most members of OXG. There's not one key member of this team that's going to severely detract from the squad strategy if they go down. So that means deaths like this are a minor occurrence here, especially if they can make up for it quite quickly with an exchange against one of the members of SSG, which is bound to happen at some point here. But at the same time, OXG need to build up the confidence to be able to pinch in. That means they need positioning to do so as well. You can see Foxy starting to establish that on the inside of Trophy. Sky seems somewhat aware of this push, though. Just doesn't have the right read, but the distraction works out regardless. Skies is caught trying to throw that Nitro, and in the process, Vertical will push directly into Attic, take the control away, and knock out another member of SSG.
Now, Sky is trying to do too much in that position. You really want to see him lean back and try and use that Nitro cell for something a little bit later on, but thought that he could potentially punish a player that could be under the default cam, but ill-advised, obviously, with the players inside of Attic, as well as the one up near Trophy. More than likely wouldn't have worked out for him. Bosco will double back and take down another Oxygen member, a Space Station Gaming. They're looking to make sure that they still have an opportunity to go to Berlin. They'll take down Foxay. Vertical, he's the last one up and alive here inside of the 1 versus 4. Can he be the one to get it done for OXG? has a yellow ping through, but nobody home on that. Case out here on concrete knows one has to be playing inside of games, but that's all she wrote. Space Station Gaming take away the game from Oxygen inside of regulation, and no one's set for Germany just yet.
Yep, not going to see anyone get locked in, although once again, just the caveat to that, OXG is indeed very, very close, but won't be able to get full confirmation out of this game just yet. That does mean that SSG still in the race as well. This season of the NAL continues to be one of, if not the closest we have had yet, as SSG stays in the fight like we said before with about a 30% chance to make it, still pending the results of our final Playday and the rest of today's games as well.
Yes, indeed. And I mean, honestly, for the majority of the NA fans, you have to be as happy as a clam. The games have just been amazing this entire stage. And to bring it all the way down to our second to last Playday, and we still don't have anybody locked in for a major.
It's crazy.
Truly incredible stuff, and just shows you how talented a majority of these rosters in North America are.
Absolutely the case here. NA is one of, if not the most competitive regions right
Well,
now.
definitely better than Europe. So.
I mean, I was trying to not name names.
No, I will.
But okay.
Don't
All
worry.
right, go ahead.
No worries.
Take it away. Take it away.
Hey, Europe bad, we good. And that's going to be it for the first game for Blue and I, folks. We're going to send you to a quick break. We have an analyst desk to break down Oxygen versus SSG right after this.
Hey, we're back here at the Rainbow Six North American League Analyst Desk. Your host, Joey, here along with Caliber Jacob and none other than Tommy, and over in Vegas, just waiting to be interviewed as none other than Space Station Gaming's own Hot and Cold. How you doing, man? You got the win. Your hopes are alive for Berlin. It's been a long road for Space Station, though, not just this stage, but last stage as well. you know, it was a big win to get over Oxygen. Do you feel like the team is finally kind of coming together at a point where you have a good shot at Berlin yet?
I mean, I wouldn't say having a 30% shot's a good shot, but we definitely have a shot, and we know that. And I wouldn't say like everything's clicking in place. You know, our defenses, I think, are last in the league. I don't know after today. I think we won a couple there, but we still got to get our defenses ironed out. I mean, we're all good players. We all know that, so it's just on us at this point.
Yo, how's it going, Matt? How's it been? Hope everything's
What's
been
up,
well.
Tommy?
How's it been? Listen, man, first of all, happy that you won, but I'm pissed. My prediction is going down. Like, bro.
I don't see much sympathy on his side.
No, he doesn't care.
I will say,
what's the Tommy percentage at right now?
It's
'Cause
like
the coin might be higher. I
no.
don't know.
I think I think
might be.
come on, man, we're all falling together.
Genuinely think the coin's above Tommy now.
Listen.
Yes.
I just want to say this. Listen, back then you didn't like Oregon, right? And now somehow you have a grasp on it. What did you do in order for yourself to like, all right, like I could work with Oregon now and, you know, actually have some type of numbers on it than before? Because I do remember your only good game on Oregon was TSM and probably now this.
Did I have a good game?
You didn't have a good game, but you had some numbers. You had some critical kills.
Yeah, I mean, I just played my role this game. I still don't like Oregon. I never have. I've popped off on Oregon. I really don't know how. But I think it's just like the flow of the map in matches is like where I thrive in Oregon. I would say like FPL or ranked, Oregon's it's a free win against me. I'm auto banning it.
So I don't necessarily mean this as like a diss at anybody, but I was curious about something. When you have a game like you had yesterday against TSM, and it doesn't go the way that you want, you come close, it's hard fought, but something still doesn't click. And then for there to be like that kind of, I guess, emotional response of, oh my God, I suck. Oh my God, we suck. And there's very clearly like something within you guys that doesn't feel like it's meant to be working the right way. How do you then correct course and 24 hours later come back in the right mentality and then win a game off the back of it? How do you make that mental fix?
I mean, honestly, I think we have the right mentality going into the TSM game. You know, they're just a very good team. We're a very good team, and we lost the close rounds. I think our game plan could have been a little different, and it kind of just costed us in the end. You know, I think every round was just like a last like 20, 30-second execute. So, I mean, sometimes you win those, sometimes you lose them. Today, we went in with a different game plan. You know, Okshi's a little more aggressive, so I also don't think they're as good at executing. I think TSM might honestly be the best executing team in NA right now. So we knew that Oxygen wasn't going to be as well or as good, and it kind of played out that way, in my opinion.
So before we let you go, I've got one more quick question. And this is more about the NAL in general. Obviously, as a player that's been around for a long time, you've seen the landscape kind of shift from season to season. It seems like right now, the league is just very competitive. It seems like there's a lot of teams able to play each other closely. I was curious why you think that is. Do you feel like it's a lot of new blood coming up? Do you feel like it's a change in the meta that's enabled some players to find things that they weren't able to do before? How have things changed, in your opinion, from, say, last year or even last stage until now?
In my opinion, 100% it's the meta. I think the meta kind of makes a lot of these players good. You know, I do think they're good players, but in my opinion, the meta right now, like a lot of the time, it's just about like who's winning the gunfights, and I mean, a lot of players can do that. You know, if you play ranked right now, I mean, any ranked player is shooting. So I think the meta just it's kind of that 50-50 style, and I mean that it's not as like outsmarty as old metas, in my opinion.
Okay, so more shooting, less positioning than in the past, would you say?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Welcome to the run and gun meta.
Well, there you go. All right. Well, I
LMG2,
want to hear it from one of the best. Thanks for taking the time to sit and chat with us a little bit about that. Good luck in your match next week, and we'll see if we see you in your Berlin.
Appreciate it, guys. Have a good one.
Take care, big
See
dog.
you, boy.
All right. There you go. Always good to get the insight on the meta shift as well. I love hearing that kind of stuff from top players. Let's take a look at the stats for that last series between Spacestation and Oxygen. They got the win, and they did it in regulation. So that means Oxygen is not a lock for Berlin yet. They're nearly there.
They're still not there. They need
They're
one
nearly
more
there.
round.
Are we
One
gonna have
more.
any teams qualified today?
Suddenly,
I don't know.
it's no longer a guarantee for anybody based on their results, and it comes down to what they do and what other teams don't do. That's what we're looking at now.
I know we're supposed to be talking about the numbers here on this page, but I can't help but talk about the standings. We'll get to that a little bit later, though. Tommy, what do the numbers tell you after that one?
You got to applaud Rampy. That's number one. He had a horrible game yesterday. Let's just be honest. Straightforward, shooting right out the blanks. Rampy goes from 4 kills to 14 in the next day. Even though Hanko might have 4 and 8, I feel like everyone on SSG had critical kills today. It does not matter what it was. They were winning their gunfights, winning those fights that needed to win, and it's just crazy. I will say, Vertical, you stepped up the game, but it looks like the teammates kind of needed a little bit more, needed to help them out a little bit more. And there you go.
No, I'm most impressed by Rampy today. I think he was the one that I was talking about having that emotional response, and we saw how he tweeted after that TSM game earlier. And hey, if you're gonna change course in a positive way, that was the single best way of doing it. So hey, clap for Rampy, bro, because what he had there looked dire yesterday, to a point where there were a lot of people being like, what's next for Rampy? He's still here, still competing. That just has to remain a constant, and it only has to keep getting better from here.
There you go. Well, Spacestation 8 Gaming obviously getting that win. And we've got a couple rounds to break down in that last one, because there was some interesting stuff that happened. We've got some positives for both sides. Oxygen obviously did have a couple good rounds here. So Jacob, why don't you head over to the telestrator?
Sure.
And as you go over there, lead us into round number 8. What are we going to see here?
I mean, round 8 was just weird, mostly because there was so much stuff that was happening in such a very, very short span of time. It was a 5v5 on a Dorm's defense that turns into a 1v1 in probably about the span of 4 seconds. And then when this site got played later, it felt like SSG had more of a counter for it, so that we didn't end up finding ourselves in this exact same situation. But just as an intro, just take a look at where everybody's already positioned. It's Dream and Vertical who are playing, trying to push down from Attic side. Foxay has already pushed back up Armory, so he'll take trophy control. And then you've got Newers pushing with him from up from Master side. Everybody on SSG already has some kind of defensive fortification. They're already on their way. So watch how it plays out a little bit. As we get into it, there's more of a cohesive push. Laxing's back down here outside Master, but Foxay and Newers want trophy control, and they're not about to let anything stop them. So as we progress through, we'll keep on playing it for a little bit longer. Watch the push. Immediately, Skies swings from pit, finds the kill, immediately gets Vertical, and then gets downed himself because there is still a cross being held by Foxay and Newers as they come back and swing towards Attic. Let it play for a little bit longer, and there's the trade back. So now immediately, Hot and Cold is the one still trying to come into a position where he can trade back onto this spot. It takes a second for it to get going, but then the Attic pressure gets even more nullified because Dream now has to find a way to come back through. And Hot and Cold is still playing this pit position, but now Foxay and Newers can both hold the angle. This keeps on getting layer by layer even more complex because of all the trades that come out. But pay attention to the last 2 guys that actually remain alive in this scenario. Rampy, playing up the Armory side, is about to make a push, and he's going to get both Newers and I think Foxay, depending on if Hot and Cold dies here. And then Dream is the other guy to pay attention to. So it's both Rampy on Armory and Dream up in Attic. Watch it play out. Hot and Cold can't get anything. Boss goes right there, kills one. Newers has a trade. Dream still holds the cross here. And now all of a sudden, because Rampy has the push up, we find ourselves with just Dream looking for Rampy, and now they're going to play a little game of Ring Around the Rosie. Rampy's going to back off a little ways, and I think he almost backs up a little bit too far, because by the time Dream grabs Diffuser, there's a couple different spots he can plant, and he can come back here behind the bomb. He can plant back behind the reinforced wall here if he wants to move back around to this end, but he doesn't know if someone's about to make a rotator play underneath this kill hole, so he doesn't take that option. Instead, he'll come back to the reinforced wall and go for a plant there, but he doesn't know the exact spot he wants because he's not sure how far away Rampy's still playing from the bomb site. He has already moved off the Armory position, and now he has so many different things he has to focus on, but he definitely should know at this point that he's not trying to play anywhere back around towards the A site. He should be playing closer to B. So now we let this 7th chapter of the round play out, and it's just a matter of who comes around the carousel at the right moment. This is the Ring Around the Rosie thing that we always see in 1v1 scenarios. Wait for it. Dream gets the kill. It's a very, very close round. Ultimately, you have so many things happening in that very, very congested early part of the round. But hey, if it comes down to a 1v1, Rampy just needs to win those.
I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, a little bit of Ring Around the Rampy, as it were. But like you said,
Rampy, okay.
He had a good day, but there were still those positive moments for Oxygen as well. And,
Yes.
Dream, every once in a while, even being the support player, can come up clutch there. That was a good one. Those 1v1s, you need your team to be able to come through. Obviously, Oxygen not able to quite get the win there, but positives.
Still.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. So we got one more round to take a look at. That's going to be round number 9. And speaking of clutch, there's a couple things that went on here, but it really kind of is about Bosco clutching out at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah, I will say it is always nice to see Bosco clutch. It brings back a lot of fond memories and a lot of Bosco moments.
Warms the heart.
As you can see right here, Newers going up the hatch. I was just praying he would go up and plant already. He is free to plant. Even the rotate that's up there, Skies, if he goes prone, so he won't be able to see him. Newers tries to take a gunfight to Skies, loses the fight, and now the bomb is stuck in Kids. Skies right there gets the most crucial kill of that round in order for them to win this round. As we see, OXG is trying to struggle to find a way back into Kids to get the bomb, and sooner or later they do. But as we see, they're setting up. You got Dream outside of big window, Fultz underneath, you got Vert going through, and then there you go. Vert gets a kill, they trade out, Fox repels in, it's a 2v3, Lax and Fox in a 2v2. So look at SSG playing this like crazy. Rampy doesn't peek before the bomb goes down, Laxing getting in order, as well as Bosco. Bosco shoots and waits. They wait for the bomb to go down, bomb doesn't go down, Laxing rotates, they shoot Laxing. Laxing gets killed by Rampy, and now they played a 2v1. Rampy kind of gets swung by Fox, and now Fox and Bosco in a 1v1. Bosco could have shot him through the wall, but he wouldn't take that chance, so he goes towards the Kid's door, takes the fight, shoots him through the leg, kills him, wins the round. Bosco go.
Trust the M590 and it will deliver results.
Yep.
It will. Every
There you
Bosco go. Bosco
enough.
go.
Let's go.
It's good to see it.
The only goat that matters in Siege, dude.
Bosco.
Bosco.
Space Station still, obviously with some life in them. And this is crazy, right? Because remember, we came into the day thinking that we were going to have maybe 3 teams, at least 2 qualified for Berlin. We may end the day with 0 teams
I am pissed.
qualify for Berlin. Yeah, that's right. But we still got a couple games to go yet on the day here at the Rainbow Six North American League. Next, we have Parabellum taking on TSM, another high-impact, high-important match for Berlin hopes for both of these squads. Do not go anywhere. We'll see who takes that one right after this.